Hey everybody, it's Drew Davis here, and I want to welcome you back to Learn How to See Better. And today what I'd like to touch base and connect with everyone about is the power of connection. That's right, the power of connection. From near or from afar, the power of connection is vital. And to connect with birds of a feather, to connect with individuals that are resonating on a similar frequency that you are, or a frequency that you want to get on, is one of the critical ways to tap into your secret strength. Because you know what? Nobody gets to the top of the ladder by themselves. No one really gets successful or achieves success completely individually, right? There is a team effort of some sort, whether it's folks you rely on when you're down or folks that rely on you when you're up. It's that magic conversation. It's that magic combination and that magic concoction that really makes the difference. And in one of the instances I've seen this in my personal life is just by being willing to branch out and take a leap of faith, really in the aspirational area of my life, in the area of business, and how I managed to look at different ways that I can surround myself with other successful people looking to achieve or have already achieved some of the same things that I've got my sights set on. And that's been very powerful. And the mastermind concept can take shape and formulate itself in many different ways from just two or more minds, right? Can create a third mind, a mastermind, to small, medium-sized, and even large groups of people that have that collective philosophy going on that can operate to build one another as a whole. And one of the things I was doing recently was just taking a moment to reflect, as I so frequently talk about, and learn how to see better. That's one of the key components of learning how to see better, willing to take a moment to pause, take a moment, call a timeout, call a 20, call a quick 20. To be able to just put a break in the monotony and reflect, to pause and understand what's really going on, and to be able to process everything appropriately, especially when information's coming at you quickly. You need to take the time to process it, or it's going over your head, or you won't collect it all to be able to make the right decisions in our lives. So one of the things that I did recently was just take a little bit of that time, and I had a mastermind that I had some particularly good things that I was receiving. And it was as though it energized me to just be that much more vocal about sharing my gratitude, sharing my appreciation, sharing the lessons I've learned, sharing some of the nuggets that I've picked up, and sharing some of the things that seem so critically important to me, that were worthy of sharing to a group of like-minded individuals. Because so often in life, what we find is it's not that anyone's above or below anybody else. We're just at different spots in the journey, right? And I might be lost in the wilderness and just getting back to the paved road, after some time, and you're coming up from behind, and I'm saying, hey, look, don't take that left you see coming ahead, because it'll take you where I just came, and you can save yourself a whole lot of headache and stress if you just keep moving this way. And so what I did was I took a quick snippet of that, because I had a lot of energy and just a whole lot of just, good stuff built up that I felt I had a good opportunity to express. And it's one of those moments that I think is worthy of being able to be shared with a wider audience, with hopes that it can connect and ignite some of you out there to go out and do great things. So I'm going to cut over to that real quick here, and we'll jump right back into this episode, touching on the power of connection.
But one thing I will say about joining this group, which has been such a blessing to us, is I give so much credit to this platform that's been put in place for us to all grow, thrive, and develop and achieve our goals. To be fair, we were on a trajectory of success anyway. We're doers, we're action takers, we don't play. But what the unique value add of the Fast Track has been, it's a unique accelerant. Because even though we know some investors in the Phoenix marketplace now, there's very few entrepreneurs in our world and people that surround us and support our goals and our mission. We go and do we have a 50 grand month in wholesaling, or we do a 6-figure deal there's like nobody to share that with. And it's not about bragging. It's like helping to complete the story. I went through this. I went through this. This was my struggle, my pain. All I wanted was, and we had this conflict, and we came out on the other side and had this triumph. But if just a regular employee, and I don't say that in a condescending fashion, if an employee mindset has never experienced any of that in their pursuit of goals in business, they just can't relate. They think you're bragging about your paycheck. And it's like, no, you don't understand what I just got through and why I'm here to share, because it's not about the dollar amount of the paycheck, but it's about the overcoming of the struggle. And we found that we just don't have that kind of family until we got started with the Fast Track. So our family has expanded quite rapidly as the rooms get longer and deeper, but it's such a beautiful thing. And I would encourage you all to dig deep and really think about your passion, your why, and your long-term vision. Not necessarily, am I a success or a failure if I miss my rocks or I don't make all the money I want in a year, but think about what you want your life to look like. And every time you're feeling down, every time you think about quitting, don't forget why you started, okay? And don't make your why your reason why not. Oh, my why is my kids. And then when things aren't going so bad, well, I can't do this because I got these kids. It's like, what? That sounds backwards. The only other thing I'd mention here is the whole visionary integrator thing. It's okay to be an integrator. The word is not sexy sounding at all. Visionary just sounds cool. Starts with a V, visionary. Yeah, I'm visionary, right? JP, I'm calling you JP. I'm giving you a nickname because I like you, man. Nobody wants to be the integrator. That's like, oh, the computer geek. Everyone wants to be the sales guy, not the technical guy. But we all have a vision. All of us do. And in a lot of situations, couples, you both have some visionary. It's just one's more dominant in one category or another. And one thing I wanted to share about that to kind of nip it in the bud, because if you're fighting your natural, who you are, right? How do you live? You're not really living in your true essence of freedom, which is part of success, is being you and blossoming into the best you that you can be, right? And so what I would say for every visionary out there is we all have to actually learn how to see better. Because in my personal opinion, as it applies to your vision, we all have vision, but some of us have a different level of depth perception, right? There's 24 hours in a day. Some people just don't run as hard towards their vision, or they look at it as a marathon, so they're just doing like this, right? So they're not sprinting towards their goals. They're not acting with the same urgency. They're not realizing how close they are, so they're just kind of like, I'll get there. And so people that have a lot more success, it seems to me, are the ones that look at their vision and the depth of where that goal is with a little more urgency. So they know when to sprint and when to back off and how to control that. So I wanted to share that because that goes into this, our businesses.
All right. So as you can see, I was quite charged up by just the interaction that I had with some of my colleagues there. And it really was just one of those just kind of genuine outpourings on the spot that really kind of came as a result of, was there to share some information, but had a moment where it was like, hey, I just want to tell you guys, thank you. And it means a whole lot, because I think that we all have different types of relationships with different type of people, right? Like you might have a relationship with a teacher or a professor or a guide or someone that you look up to, but you're not necessarily like hanging out with them at the night on the weekends, right? It's just a different type of relationship. So, when you look at ways that the people that surround you can play a role, you recognize that there might be instances where you see these unique connections where it's like, wow, someone that you haven't even known a particularly long time, you recognize that you have similar core values, right? And so that brings you together or creates a connection stronger, faster, in a lot more unique fashion than, even in some instances where, you see family members sometimes that don't even, connect on a solid level. And so when we talk about connection, it's really one of those things where you recognize you connect with different people in different areas of your life for different reasons, which is super cool. When you just let that happen and don't try to regulate it or force it in any sort of way, because some of the biggest, growth tips and nuggets you might receive could come from a source that you never anticipated, right? So being able to connect and being open to new connections. It's funny, I've heard the song, No New Friends, right? It's, a hip hop track by Drake, talking about, no new friends, and the idea is you don't really want to just be bringing these, unknown, unvetted, unverified people into your world. Um, but I think what I found is on the flip side is yeah, there are instances where you can bring in, some stranger danger, but more often than not, when if you're putting out that positive vibe and that good energy into the world, what I found is that I've actually attract more of what I am, and at a stronger resonant frequency. So in my experience, it's actually been kind of the opposite, where it's more of a positive thing to bring in new people, because now I may very well have strong relationships with people that I have a common past with, but I have the potential to even form, in some instances, stronger relationships even faster with individuals and groups that I have a more common future with. And that's one of the key things that I think it took me quite a while to recognize, because I'm a person that considers myself very loyal, I'm big on maintaining my relationships that I've invested in over time. And the fact of the matter is good and noble a thing is that is, we are all evolving human beings, and in some instances we're growing closer to people, and in some instances we're growing further apart. So it doesn't mean you got to stop loving them, so to speak, but what you find is that changes some of the dynamic, and where those actual connections and where your energy gravitates towards, right? Um, so that's just one of the things that I find interesting when I look at ways that I go out into the world and look to just resonate at the highest frequency. And some of that is surrounding yourself with individuals that are, kind of tuned into the same channel, birds of a feather, that have some of that common future, those positive goals that are in line with some of the things you're doing, because it's going to act like a support group on the days you're down. And then, as I was saying before, on the days where you're up, where you're leading the charge, you're going to be the beacon of light for others to look to follow. And that's so important, that kind of give get symbiotic relationship can be a very powerful thing that carries us through on our path to success. So, with that, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for me to take a quick trip down memory lane, share some of those mastermind nuggets, and get that opportunity to just share those points with all of you guys, and hope that it makes an impact for you in your world. So until next time, can't wait to catch you on another episode of Learn How to See Better. It's the only podcast out there that'll improve your vision the longer you listen. This is your host, Drew Davis. Thanks for joining.